Well, you know, it's the weekend, and if it's the weekend, it means it must be Michael Snyder. And he's here to give you some movie reviews with his Culture Blast report. Hello, Michael. How are you?
I'm good, Alex. Can you hear me now, as
Yeah.
they say on all the commercials?
Yep.
Oh, good. So I'm down in Hollywood, and it's a fun place with all kinds of crazy actors, actresses, artists, producers, and of course one of our favorite religious cults. I sit at a cafe right across the street from the Scientology Celebrity Center occasionally, and I fear that Tom Cruise is going to walk in and shoot the place up. Why? Because he's such a great action hero, and of course, yes, he's still affiliated with the Church of Scientology. I'm not a big Tom Cruise fan, but the new Mission Impossible film, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, is out, and when he hits it right, he's pretty damn good. I mean, I'm very, very sorry. It's pathetic that people didn't see his previous action film, Edge of Tomorrow, which was really wonderful. And you got to give the guy his due, along with that, and Tropic Thunder, Magnolia, Minority Report, and, of course, the previous Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. He's at the top of his game. I mean, when he's got a good script and director, and here he has Christopher McQuarrie, the guy who wrote The Usual Suspects and Edge of Tomorrow. This guy delivers. So in this edition of the Mission Impossible franchise, the government, led by CIA Director Alec Baldwin, relishing playing a creepy figure of authority, wants to disband the Impossible Missions Force, these reckless do-gooders led by Cruise, because they destroy stuff and they have no oversight, even though they save the world. So Cruise's nimble, daring, and near invulnerable Ethan Hunt, the kind of James Bond leader of the group, is all that stands between the free world and a new secret terrorist organization called the Syndicate, who are taunting him, by the way. So the stunts in this thing are, in a lot of cases, done practical style by Cruise, who I think is kind of a lunatic and a daredevil, and they are jaw-dropping. And the fight scenes and chases are as cool as the ones in the previous Mission Impossible movie, which was my favorite at the time, but this is getting in there. So you got all this crazy action. You've got Cruise with his previous IMF pals from the films, played by Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, and Jeremy Renner. Rebecca Ferguson is a really good femme fatale. And you've got the awesome Sean Harris, one of Richard Harris's two acting sons, as the villain, kind of like you've never seen him. He plays a creep usually, but in this case, he's like a cool creep. And the movie's very funny, believe it or not. So you got McQuarrie at the helm. I really, really recommend Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. It is the quintessential popcorn film out there this weekend. On the other hand, Vacation, rebooting the comedy franchise from years ago, is a disappointment. You've got Ed Helms from The Office and the Hangover films playing Rusty Griswold, who is the grown-up son of Chevy Chase's Clark Griswold character from the original National Lampoon Vacation films. Rusty's an airline pilot for a regional Midwest airline. He wants to take his neglected family on a special vacation, so he decides to do what his father did so many years ago in the original Vacation comedy, a road trip to Wally World Amusement Park in Southern California. Great idea, Rusty, in a world where proof of concept, remakes, and reboots are the surest ways to get a feature film greenlit. Obviously, someone said, let's do this. But the key word here is rusty, as in worn, outdated, rickety. There are some amusing moments. Christina Applegate is game as Rusty's randy wife. Charlie Day, who I find very funny, delivers as an unhinged park ranger at the Grand Canyon. And the kids are a nice switch as the nasty youngest son bullies the nerdy eldest son. We also see Rusty's grown-up sister, played by Leslie Mann, her arrogant TV weatherman husband, played by Thor himself, Chris Hemsworth, in a pretty good turn. Pretty funny stuff. But this is tired, ultimately, and it's reinforced. Its fatigue is reinforced by a cameo from that tired, bloated gas bag Chevy Chase, who, alongside his original Vacation wife, Beverly D'Angelo, are now Grandma and Grandpa Griswold, although not in that order. The real pity is that it's the work of the horrible bosses, writers, and directors, a couple of guys named John Francis Daly and Jonathan Goldstein, which I like the Horrible Bosses film. This doesn't work. I won't be taking this vacation again. Get it? All right, now the best film of the bunch, The End of the Tour. It's the story of the 5-day interview in 1996 between Rolling Stone reporter novelist David Lipsky and the acclaimed novelist David Foster Wallace, who has a tragic end, which we know about. No spoiler alert necessary. And it is very good. It's essentially a two-person drama with a little supporting play, but it stars Jesse Eisenberg as Lipsky and a guy who's basically known as a comedian, Jason Segel, a comic actor, as David Foster Wallace. This is, again, first-rate, engaging, provocative, intellectually astute, and so very well acted. I'd say Jason Segel gives the performance of his career to date and probably will get major awards buzz. And as for Eisenberg, the guy's in his comfort zone and out of ours as one of his bottled-up, conflicted wonder kids, the kind of character he's building a career on playing. The end of the tour is just wonderful stuff, written by Lipsky and directed by a guy named James Ponsel. It is going to translate well to video, so you don't necessarily have to see it in the theater, but it is a terrific experience. Joan Cusack has a supporting role here. We don't see her enough. And again, big recommendation for this particular film. Best of Enemies is a documentary about the relationship between two erudite, longtime political adversaries, conservative Republican orator William F. Buckley Jr. and leftist novelist and polemicist Gore Vidal. And I thought this was some fascinating stuff. And if you didn't know about these guys and their rivalry, to see them go at it on television, it was a growing hatred, a growing conflict, vituperative, and it reached its peak during the Democratic National Convention in 1968, when they became major players in TV news and sort of ratings bait for ABC as they battled over the issues and also over the candidates on national television. This discusses the aftermath of that thing and also how they felt about one another late in life. I think that it's absolutely worth catching. And again, insofar as it's intimate and personality driven, it'll work well on video. But, I like to support stuff like this if I can. All right. Listen to Me, Marlon is a pretty wonderful documentary as well. It's taken from hours of audio tapes that actor Marlon Brando made by himself, as well as archival interview footage, newsreels, and movie clips. Fascinating biographical sketch of a brilliant, talented, sometimes enigmatic, and always controversial guy. Life, career, triumphs, scandals, tragedy, it's all here, but it's not spoon-fed with a by-the-numbers narration. Mostly it's Brando waxing on everything from his acting career to his teacher, Stella Adler, to his performances and his personal life, talent, and flaws. It reminded me a little bit of I Am Ali, which also took audio tapes that were made by the central figure and tried to cobble them together into a documentary. This is much better, more revelatory, more expansive, and more insightful on a lot of fronts. And finally, just quickly, I want to note a movie called The Look of Silence. Joshua Oppenheimer made a film called The Act of Killing, which was incredibly powerful, Oscar-nominated, a documentary about the perpetrators of the 1965 Indonesian genocide. And in the wake of this, he comes back with The Look of Silence, which is about a bunch of the survivors who figure out how their son was murdered and find out who the killers were and kind of go after them with a video camera. This is very chilling and disturbing and not quite as stunning and sweeping as The Act of Killing, but certainly worthwhile and much more personal, if you can imagine that. So that's what we got in film. You're watching TV, buddy.
Yeah, but there's not much there either. Humans continues to amuse me and I think is a great show. And let me see here. That's about it. There's this show called Wet Hot Summer on Netflix.
Wet Hot American Summer?
Wet Hot American Summer, which was a movie that failed at the box office, but I guess created some kind of cult status. And Netflix decided to allow them to turn it into a series. And, of course, it's a binge-watch series of about 13 episodes. And the people in this are amazing. I mean, the cast is John Hamm to Amy Poehler to Janine Garofalo to Bradley Cooper to, I mean, it goes on and on and on, and you can't believe how they got all these people to do this.
Well, the original movie featured some of them. It was a launching pad for them, so I think they felt indebted in a way.
Well,
Ken Marino.
I don't know. I watched the first 10 minutes of it and thought it was just horrible. Just horrible. And saying to myself, what are all these people doing in this? Now, I'm going to watch a little more, so don't take my word for it at this point. I don't think I should review anything based on 10 minutes. But no. Man, the script was terrible, and I'm wondering why don't. And then on top of that, Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 92%. So I must be wrong.
Well, you could be, but the truth of the matter is that the film itself was pretty charming, albeit something that fell through the cracks in a lot of ways, and was a platform that launched a lot of these people. So I'm curious about it. I didn't even know it was available yet, and now that I know that it is, I will go after it. I hear there's a new French show called Witnesses that's supposed to be pretty cool, so I'm going to be on the lookout for that. But I love the French, buddy.
Yeah, I know you love the French. They can do no wrong. It's kind of like my wife with the British. They can do no wrong,
Oui, monsieur. Yeah. Anyway, so that's about it.
I told her what I'm going to do is if she thinks the British are that good, I'm going to make her watch about 10 hours of Dad's Army, so.
Or even worse, Are You Being Served?
Oh, Are You Being Served? Oh, yes, of course. Anyway, but outside of that, Mr. Robot continues. I think it's kind of, at least last week, lost a bit of steam. And that's about it. There's not a hell of a lot out there for the summer, to tell you the damn truth. I haven't even watched True Detective. I think I watched 10 minutes of it and was bored to death.
It has its moments, let's put it that way.
Well, that isn't enough reason to watch anything.
Well, some of the moments expand and get bigger and bigger, and soon it's a half hour.
Because when all I have left in life are moments, I think I'd like to spend them with something worthwhile.
Hot American summer.
Oh, yeah, wet, hot American summer. Hey, Michael, thank you. Tell them where they can get a hold of you.
Well, check me out on Twitter at Culture Blaster, one word, of course. And you can tune in to the Michael Snyder's Culture Blast Facebook page, listen to Bennett and I talk the talk, and read articles and whatever. And we'll be back next week.
And also, you're now available on our Roku channel as well. So,
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Love that.
Anyway, thanks, Michael.
You bet.
And GabNet continues.